Hi guys, welcome to my study compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper Math P2 Variant 1 October November 2021. Let's get started. P is a prime number where P is greater than 60 and less than 80. P is 2 less than a square number. Find the value of P. First, we look at the square numbers that are close to the range between 60 and 80. These will be 64 and 81. When we subtract 2 from 64, we have 62, which is not a prime number. When we subtract 2 from 81, we have 79, which is a prime number. And so 79 will be our final answer. Hank flies from Los Angeles to Shanghai. The flight departs on Friday, 22nd July at 21:40. The flight takes 13 hours 35 minutes. The local time in Shanghai is 15 hours ahead of the local time in Los Angeles. Find the day, date, and time in Shanghai when Hank's flight arrives. To get the time the flight arrives in Shanghai, we add the time duration for the flight, which is 13 hours 35 minutes, to the departure time, which is 21:40. Under the minutes column, 40 plus 35 is 75. 60 minutes is 1 hour, so we add 1 hour to the hour column and leave the remaining 15 minutes under the minutes column. Under the hour column, 1 plus 21 plus 13 is 35. 24 hours is 1 day, so we add 1 to the day column and leave the remaining 11 hours under the hour column. Under the day column, 1 plus 0 is 1. Our result here means the flight arrives in Shanghai the next day, which is Saturday, 23rd July at 11:15. This is the local time in Los Angeles, so we need to add an additional 15 hours to our result to get the equivalent local time in Shanghai. Under the minutes column, 15 plus 0 is 15. Under the hour column, 11 plus 15 is 26. 24 hours is 1 day, so we add 1 to the day column and leave the remaining 2 hours under the hour column. Under the day column, 1 plus 1 is 2. Our result here means the local time in Shanghai is 1 day ahead of the local time in Los Angeles, and so the date and time in Shanghai is Sunday, 24th July, 2:15. The cost of the flight is $920. The exchange rate is $1 equals 6.87 Chinese yuan. Find the cost of the flight in yuan. First, we set up our conversion ratio. From here, when we cross multiply and make x the subject, this is what we have. When we type this into the calculator, we get 6,320.40 Chinese yuan rounded to 2 decimal places. Calculate 4.87 minus 2.7 over negative 0.2 plus cube root of 0.729. When we type this into the calculator, we get 3.1. The number of items that each of 22 people buy in a supermarket is shown in the stem and leaf diagram. The key has been given as 1/1 represents 11 items. Find the mode. The mode is the most recurring number. From the stem and leaf plot, this number is 22. Find the median. The stem and leaf plot is already arranged in ascending order, and so to get the location of the median, we find half of n plus 1, where n in this case is 22. This gives us 11.5. This means the median is located between the 11th number and the 12th number. The 11th number is 29 and the 12th number is 31. And so the median will be 29 plus 31 divided by 2, which is equal to 30. The table shows the relative frequency of the games won by a football team. The number of games lost is twice the number of games drawn. Complete the table. We've been told the number of games lost is twice the number of games drawn. This means if we represent the relative frequency for the number of games drawn with x, then the relative frequency for the number of games lost will be 2x. The sum of all the relative frequencies should be equal to 1, and so we have 0.1 plus 2x plus x equals 1. When we group like terms and divide through the equation by 3, we get x to be 0.3. Now that we know the value for x, the relative frequency for the number of games drawn will be 0.3. And the relative frequency for the number of games lost will be 2 times 0.3, which is 0.6. The scale drawing shows the positions of two towns, P and Q. The scale is 1 centimeter represents 4 kilometers. Find the actual distance between town P and town Q. First, we measure the distance between P and Q on the map. This gives us 8.2 centimeters. So now to get the actual distance, we set up the conversion ratio based on the scale we've been given. From here, when we cross multiply and make x the subject, we have 32.8 kilometers. Measure the bearing of town Q from town P. Using a protractor, we measure the angle from the north of point P to Q. This gives us 65 degrees. Town X is 28 kilometers from town P on a bearing of 140 degrees. On the scale drawing, mark the position of town X. To get the equivalent of 28 kilometers on the map, we set up the conversion ratio. When we cross multiply and make x the subject, this is what we have, which is equal to 7 centimeters. So on the scale drawing, we first measure and mark an angle of 140 degrees from the north of point P. Then we pin the position of town X along this bearing such that x is 7 centimeters from point P. Without using a calculator, work out 1/5/6 plus 2/5. You must show all your working and give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. First, we convert 1/5/6 into an improper fraction. So we have 6 times 1 plus 5, which is 11, divided by 6. The LCM of 6 and 5 is 13. For 11/6, since we multiply 6 by 5 to get 30, we also need to multiply 11 by 5, which is equal to 55. For 2/5, since we multiply 5 by 6 to get 30, we also need to multiply 2 by 6, which is equal to 12. 55 plus 12 is 67. 67/30 is an improper fraction, so we need to convert it into a mixed fraction. 30 goes into 67 2 times with a remainder of 7, which we divide by 30, and so we have 2/7/30. Solve the simultaneous equations. You must show all your working. Let's label the given equations. Using the elimination method, we can start by eliminating the variable y. So first, we multiply equation 1 by 2. This gives us 8x minus 4y equals negative 26. Let's call this equation 3. Now that we have minus 4y in equation 3 and plus 4y in equation 2, we can take out y by adding equation 2 and equation 3. This gives us 5x equals negative 15. When we divide both sides by 5, we have x equals negative 3. To get the value of y, we can plug in the value of x in any of the equations. If we pick equation 1, this is what we have. When we group like terms and divide through the equation by 4, we get y equals 0.5. Calculate the value of x. To get the value of x, we need to apply SOHCAHTOA. So we have cos x is equal to the adjacent, which is 7 centimeters, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 12 centimeters. When we make x the subject, this is what we have. When we type this into the calculator, we have 54.3 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. A regular polygon has an interior angle of 174 degrees. Find the number of sides of this polygon. Here is the formula for the interior angle of a polygon. We've been given the interior angle as 174 and we need to find n, which is the number of sides of the polygon. When we multiply both sides by n, this is what we have. When we group like terms and divide both sides by 6, we get n equals 60. Line L has equation y equals 4 minus 5x. Find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to line L and passes through the point 0, 6. The equation of any straight line can be expressed in the form y equals mx plus c. So all we need to do is find the values of m and c and plug these values back into the equation. The product of the perpendicular line and line L must be equal to -1. Line L has been expressed in the form y equals mx plus c, which means the coefficient of the x term, which is -5, is the gradient of the line. So we have m times -5 equals -1. When we divide both sides by -5, we get m equals 1 over 5. To get the value of c, we plug in the value of m and the given coordinates 0, 6 into y equals mx plus c. This gives us c equals 6. Now that we have the values of m and c, the equation of the perpendicular line is y equals 1 over 5x plus 6. Chai invests some money. By the end of the first year, the value of the investment has decreased by 35%. By the end of the second year, the value of the investment has increased by 40% of its value at the end of the first year. Find the overall percentage change in the value of the investment. Let's represent the amount of money Chai invests with X. By the end of year 1, this amount has decreased by 35%, and so we subtract 35% from 100%, which is 65%, and so the value of the investment is 65% of X, which is the same as 0.65x. By the end of year 2, the amount in year 1 has increased by 40%. So we add 40% to 100%, which is 140%. So the value of the investment will now be 140% of 0.65x, which is equal to 0.91x. So now the overall percentage change is equal to the change in the value of the investment, which is 0.91x minus x, divided by the initial amount, which is x, times 100%. The x's cancel out, and so 0.91 minus 1 over 1 times 100% is equal to -9%. Solve 4 minus 3x is greater than and equal to 6 minus x over 5. When we multiply both sides of the inequality by 5, this is what we have. When we expand the brackets, 5 times 4 is 20 and 5 times -3x is -15x. When we group like terms, this is what we have. To make x the subject, we need to divide both sides by -14. This gives us x is less than or equal to 1. Since we divided the inequality by a negative number, we have to flip the symbol. Y is inversely proportional to the square root of x minus 2. When x is 4.25, y is 12. Find x when y is 3. In mathematical terms, we write y is inversely proportional to the square root of x minus 2. This becomes y is equal to a constant, which we are going to call k, times 1 over square root of x minus 2. To find the value of k, we substitute x equals 4.25 and y equals 12 into the equation. When we make k the subject, we get 18. So now to get the value of x when y is 3, we have 3 equals 18 over square root of x minus 2. When we make square root of x minus 2 the subject, this is what we have. When we square both sides, we get x minus 2 equals 36. And when we add 2 to both sides, we get x equals 38. The diagram shows three shapes that are mathematically similar. The heights of the shapes are in the ratio small is to medium is to large equals 1:5:8. Find the ratio shaded area is to total unshaded area. Give your answer in its simplest form. To get the area ratio, we square the given ratio. This gives us 1:25:64. The shaded area is equal to the medium area minus the small area. This gives us 25 minus 1, which is equal to 24. The unshaded area is equal to the small area plus this area, which we get by subtracting the medium area from the large area. This gives us 1 plus 64 minus 25, which is equal to 40. So now the shaded area to the unshaded area will be 24:40. 8 goes into 24 3 times and 8 goes into 40 5 times. We can't simplify this further, and so our final answer is 3:5. Find the nth term of each sequence. For this sequence, we see that the third level of the differences between the terms is constant. This means we have a cubic sequence. There is a formula for finding the nth term of a cubic sequence, but in this case, we can use a shortcut. We observe that 1 cubed plus 7 gives us 8. Then 2 cubed plus 7 gives us 15, and so on. This means that the nth term will be n cubed plus 7. Looking at this sequence, we see that the numerator values increase by a constant value of 1, and the denominator values have a common ratio of 4. We can find the nth term for the numerators using this formula. A1 is the first term, which is 2, and D is the common difference, which is 1. When we simplify this, we get n plus 1. We can find the nth term for the denominators using this formula. A1 is the first term, which is 1, and R is the common ratio, which is 4. When we simplify this, we have 4 raised to the power n minus 1. And so the nth term for the sequence will be n plus 1 over 4 raised to the power n minus 1. Y equals 3x minus 2 over 1 minus x. Make x the subject of the formula. When we multiply both sides of the equation by 1 minus x, this is what we have. When we expand the brackets, y times 1 is y, and y times negative x is negative xy. When we move all the x terms to one side of the equation, this is what we have. When we factor out x, we are left with y plus 3. When we divide both sides by y plus 3, we get x equals y plus 2 over y plus 3. The diagram shows some land in the shape of a triangle ABC. Houses are built on this land. Each house requires 400 meters squared of land. Find the greatest number of houses that can be built on this land. The number of houses that can be built on the land would be equal to the area of triangle ABC divided by the area of one house, which is 400 meters squared. By applying this formula for the area of a triangle, we get the area of triangle ABC to be half of 800 meters times 2,300 meters times sine 30 degrees. When we type this into the calculator, we get 460,000 meters squared. So now we have n equals 460,000 meters squared divided by 400 meters squared, which is equal to 1,150. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. 2 over x plus 3 minus x plus 2 over 7. We get the LCM by multiplying the denominators. So we have 7 times x plus 3. For 2 over x plus 3, since we multiply the denominator by 7 to get the LCM, we also need to multiply the numerator 2 by 7. For x plus 2 over 7, since we multiply the denominator by x plus 3 to get the LCM, we also need to multiply the numerator x plus 2 by x plus 3. 2 times 7 is 14. When we expand x plus 2 times x plus 3, we get x squared plus 5x plus 6. When we simplify this, we have 8 minus 5x minus x squared. And so our final answer here is 8 minus 5x minus x squared over 7 times x plus 3. Solve 3 times 2 plus cos x equals 5 for x is greater than and equal to 0 degrees and less than and equal to 360 degrees. First, we need to make cos x the subject of the given equation. When we expand the brackets, 3 times 2 is 6 and 3 times cos x is 3 cos x. When we subtract 6 from both sides, this is what we have. When we divide both sides by 3, we get cos x equals negative 1 over 3. Now we need to find the reference angle alpha, which will allow us to find all the possible values of x in the given range. To get the value of alpha, we take cos inverse of the positive value of negative 1 over 3, which is 1 over 3. When we type this into the calculator, we get 70.5 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. Now that we have the value of alpha, we need to draw the quadrants. Since the value of cos x is negative, we only measure alpha from the horizontal axis in the regions where cos is negative. When we go round the quadrant the first time, we get the first possible value of x to be 180 degrees minus 70.5 degrees, which is equal to 109.5 degrees. When we go round the quadrant the second time, we get the second possible value of x to be 180 degrees plus 70.5 degrees, which is equal to 250.5 degrees. The diagram shows a pyramid ABCDE. The pyramid has a square horizontal base ABCD with side 5 centimeters. The vertex E is vertically above the center O of the base. The height OE of the pyramid is 9 centimeters. Calculate the angle that EC makes with the base ABCD. On the diagram, we have labeled this angle as alpha. We can apply SOHCAHTOA to find the value of alpha. This gives us tan of alpha is equal to the opposite, which is OE, divided by the adjacent, which is OC. We've already been given the length of OE to be 9 centimeters, so we need to find the length of OC. OC is half of AC. AC is the hypotenuse of the right-angled triangle ABC. And so by applying the Pythagoras theorem, we get the length of AC to be square root of 5 squared plus 5 squared centimeters. When we type this into the calculator, we get 5 over root 2 centimeters. When we make alpha the subject, this is what we have. When we type this into the calculator, we get 68.6 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. Simplify. X raised to the power 2 over 3 divided by x raised to the power 8 over 3. According to the laws of indices, since both terms have the same base and they are dividing, their powers subtract. So we have x raised to the power 2 over 3 minus 8 over 3. 2 over 3 minus 8 over 3 is negative 2. X raised to the power negative 2 is the same as 1 over x squared. 16 equals 64 raised to the power k. Find the value of k. We can rewrite 16 as 4 raised to the power 2 and 64 as 4 raised to the power 3. The powers multiply, so 4 raised to the power 3 times k is 4 raised to the power 3k. Since the bases on both sides of the equation are now equal, then their powers should also be equal. So we have 2 equals 3k. When we divide both sides by 3, we have k equals 2 over 3. Solve 3 raised to the power 3x times 1 over 9 raised to the power 4 minus 3x equals 3. 9 is 3 squared, and so 1 over 3 squared is 3 raised to the power negative 2. The powers of 3 raised to the power negative 2 all raised to the power 4 minus 3x multiply, so we have 3 raised to the power 6x minus 8. For these two terms, since they have the same base, their powers add. This simplifies to 3 raised to the power 9x minus 8 equals 3. So now that the bases on both sides of the equation are equal, then their powers should also be equal. So we have 9x minus 8 equals 1. When we add 8 to both sides, we have 9x equals 9. When we divide both sides by 9, we have x equals 1. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.